find the index of the first occurrence in a string. So given two strings, needle and haystack, return the index of the first occurrence of needle in haystack, or -1 if needle is not part of the haystack. So in the first example, you can see this is our haystack. Our needle is sad. It actually occurs twice. We have sad here and we have sad here, but we want to return 0 because we want to return the index of where the first occurrence shows up. So sad occurs at index 0 and at index 6. 0 and 6. The first occurrence is at 0, so we return 0. And then in the second one, you can see LeetCode. The needle is nowhere in this one because it's LEETC. This is LEETO. And so we just return -1.
Oh, okay. So I understand. So basically, you have to find the needle in the haystack.
Basically,
That's
yeah.
pretty original. So, so you basically have to check. Uh, the does it? Because when I look at it, I think of having an empty string, and you fill the and you, like as long as the characters from the needle and the haystack are the same, you keep going. And once one of the characters is wrong, you reset the I wouldn't say the counter, like you reset the string, and you start comparing again.
That's
Does
a
it make
yeah.
sense to
That's
you?
a yeah. That's like a naive search.
Naive search, is
Yeah,
that what it's
that's what.
called?
Yep, that's what you would call that one right there. Let me ask you before when you go through the problems and an employer is giving you the problem, how many questions do you ask before you start solving the problem?
The first question I ask is like it depends on the problem. Like let's say there's something of finding common elements or removing elements or something like that. I usually ask uh is the input sorted? Like if there's something like that, I'm gonna ask if the input is sorted. If that's the case, I ask about constraints. Like, what is the constraint? Like, it could be a gigantic string, or it could be like a small string, because that changes a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
So you ask the
This one,
size, like for right here,
yeah, yeah,
what's the
size,
size of
yeah,
the haystack? What's the size of the needle?
yes,
In this case, the haystack is gonna. The both of them are either gonna be anywhere from length 1 to 10,000, which is still
okay,
small,
yeah,
and they consist of only lowercase English letters. So if you're working on a string problem like this for a company, you will ask a question like, are they mixed and matched? Are there
yeah,
symbols in the string? Are they all
hmm,
lowercase? What does the string consist of as far as types of characters, that sort of thing?
yeah, exactly. And also, I forgot what the term is, but when you have like two strings and you want to compare them, but let's say one has capitalized letters and the other doesn't. Like, is it called parametrize? Parametrize? The like
Wait, say that one more time.
Yeah, like you have two strings, right? And you want to know if they're the same, but the case sensitivity is different from from one string to the other one, and you
Mm-hmm.
want to make them the same, like
Yep.
all lowercase. There's a term for that, isn't like it parametrize? I don't know what the English word for
I'm
that is.
I'm not positive. I would just use like a two lowercase or two uppercase depending on the requirements of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the technical term though.
Okay.
Let me go
Yeah, but
ahead
yeah.
and I'm gonna share the link with you so you could pop into my
Mm-hmm.
code editor and then you could give it
Sure.
a shot. I could code
Let's
it
give it a
out
go.
firsthand for you, or you could give it a shot. But I have three different um, methods. So the first one is using built-in methods, or I think you were calling them higher order
Yeah.
methods. So one method is using built-in methods. Another one is using regular expressions. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
regular
Uh,
expressions. And then the
yeah. I
third
mean,
one,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, and the third one is the one you were talking about, the naive search. So we could start. I'm thinking start from simplest, and then we'll move to the more complex. but
Okay, which one would you say is the simplest one?
definitely one JS. So just using built-in functions.
Okay, building functions. So let's see here. So haystack and needle. So okay, so I'm gonna do something silly here, but not silly. I don't know if it's silly. So return haystack includes needle.
Yeah.
Like that would be my first approach. Of course I would have to console log that and test it.
All
Uh,
right, I'll go ahead and pull it up right here. So node 1.js. So we're getting true and false.
so true and false, which is correct, right?
You're gonna want the index. So right
Oh,
here, you can see the output is gonna be the index or -1 if it doesn't exist.
oh, the index or okay, the index or the or negative one. Okay, I get it. I get it. I forgot about that. Sorry.
Nah, it's all good. You know,
Okay,
it's
so
all
let's see.
trial and error. There is another
Yeah,
method that should work.
yeah, in
It's
index
not.
of probably right.
Yeah, that's it right there.
But can I pass a string to index of?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Really? I
Yeah,
never
because a
knew that.
string is, yeah, I believe so. Let me see.
Okay, so
Let's test it out.
okay, let me
Yep.
see.
Yeah, so we got 0 and -1.
Okay.
So this one works. Nice. Let
It's
me
funny
go.
because when I saw the problem, I thought of index of, and then when it came to business, I just completely forgot about it.
Includes it. You'd think it would work too. And the thing is, there might be. All right. So yeah, this one. This one's good memory wise. You would think that there would be a way for you to return the index using includes. But yeah, let's go ahead and see that real quick. Let's do includes JavaScript method. And if we check this out, yeah, otherwise it returns. So it just returns true and false. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like. Sometimes the methods like map has multiple different arguments you could pass into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
the first one is each element of the array. The second argument is going to be I, or what order it is, and then the last one's going to be an actual copy of the array, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it looks like includes is just going to return true or false. But that's good.
Okay.
So you got the
That's
first
good.
one.
So that's awesome. Just one thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw that I left a suggestion on ideas and feedback.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, because it would be nice to have like some kind of code sandbox where we can like let's say, oh, I remember that problem where we did you know the the haystack thing, like, but I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly how it was done. Like I would love to have some place where I could go to and take a look at that.
Yeah, having a GitHub repo where you could go and look at the
Yeah,
solutions from the past.
or
Yeah,
a repo, or it could be a code sandbox, whatever is easier for you.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna implement that for
That's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah, that's good feedback. Thank,
Thanks. So
thank you.
okay, so so we've done the first one, which was the high order. Was it high order? No, index up is in high order.
It's just a built-in method.
Built-in method, yeah.
Yeah.
So built-in method was okay. So using regular expression, okay. If I remember correctly, it's probably okay. The thing is how to deal with the index. Okay, let me think here. So um I don't remember if it's match or test. Which one I should use, match or test
I
for
believe you could
the
use either one, but I would go with match. I feel like match is just clearer as far as readability
okay.
goes. But
So I'll say return. No, let's create a const here, like const. I don't know what to call it. Const. I don't know. Results, just to get it.
that works.
So haystack match. So let's see. It expects a string, which is the regular expression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Okay, so match. Um, okay. Now the problem is writing a regular expression. Let me think here. It the regular expression would be actually the needle, right?
Yep.
Like, can you match that? I don't remember exactly what match returns. It does return boolean. Does return a
Try it
what
out.
does okay? So let's do console log here. Oh, um, and then we
Did you save
should
it?
do save it. Where can I see the console here?
Right here on my Discord.
Oh, wait a second here. Sorry.
All good.
Okay. Um. So undefined and null, and of course returns undefined.
So this result right here is returning an array with the actual match, the index of the match, the original input or the word that you ran the match method on, and then groups, which is
Oh, so it's working
undefined
there.
right now.
I thought because I read undefined null and undefined, and I thought it was wrong.
This is just the return statement of the function
Yeah,
because you have no return statement yet.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense. So it's working. So I guess since we do have the index, we
You
can
do.
access it somehow.
Yep.
I'm not sure how. Uh, Um, maybe like yeah, because how do I access the index of this? Like,
Well, this is
'cause
this is the object, right?
it's an object, right? Okay, let me take a look. It's an array actually, right?
It looks like an array, but we have properties here.
Yeah. Ah, you're right. Yeah. So it should be something like result dot index, I guess.
Try it out.
Let's see. Let's take a look at your code.
All
Ooh.
right, so we're getting the index here. Cannot read properties of null reading index, and that's because on the second problem here,
Okay.
result is null.
Okay. So we basically have to think. Okay. So the if I commented this the line 16, it would work, right? But line 16 doesn't work
Yeah,
because
if
it
we
should return -1, right?
if we comment this out right here and we
So
run this again, then yeah, we got 0, so the correct index, and then undefined. But we
okay.
we actually want to return
Hmm.
-1.
Okay, so what I would do is uh return. Is there such thing as is there always going to be an index if it fails? That's
If
what I
there
don't know.
That's a really good question. If there's a result, there will be an index.
Always, even if it fails.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, if it fails, then you won't have a result. It'll be undefined.
it would undefined.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, what I was going to do, I was going to do something like this. If there's an index, return the index. Otherwise, just return -1.
Yeah,
But
that's actually perfect. Just like
oh,
that.
if there's results, okay. Why result and not result dot index? Wouldn't that be more specific?
Because if you execute result.index and you don't have a result, you're going to get that error. So you have to check to see if
Mm.
there's even a result. If result is defined, then you could execute result.index. But
Oh,
if you
okay.
tried to operate result.index, then it will be trying to find a property that doesn't exist on an object that
Okay.
doesn't
Yeah.
exist, and
Yeah.
so that's when you'll get the error. So this is checking to make sure
Hmm.
that there is a result, that result is defined, and then if result is defined, then just return the index of the result.
Okay. So
Otherwise, if it's not defined, just return one, negative
basically,
one.
what was it was doing this like undefined, and then results dot index -1 because it doesn't have result dot index, but it always has result, so it's gonna pass. Or I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Nah, so in the second case, it's gonna be undefined. So
Yeah, it's
instead
gonna be
instead of this
undefined, then it's
line
gonna run.
executing,
Yeah.
it's just gonna do this
Oh,
now.
okay, I'll get it. I
Yeah.
finally get it. Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. You're doing good, man.
Well, I had the right idea, just the final execution, and it was a bit lacking. But I understand, like, because the thing is, I have to do that, and I often don't. Like, I have to console log a lot, which I don't usually do. Like, I think I do a lot of trial and error instead of actually logging stuff to see what it's doing or checking the Mozilla article on the method.
Do you
And
ever use
that's
the debugger?
uh, what do you mean? Like a debug? What kind of debugger?
So if I wanted to, let's just say I wanted to um, debug this line right here, I could go ahead and click this red circle.
Oh,
So it'll
yeah.
stop there. Go to debugging, and then I could press F10
Okay, let me check your
or
screen. Okay,
yeah.
F10.
So set it up. So set up the debugger right here.
Mm-hmm.
I set it up. I run in Node.js. I run the current file, and then I do F10, and it starts the debugger. So it starts executing this function,
Yeah.
and then you could see on the left side, you can see all the variables. So we have haystack, we have needle. Result is undefined because we didn't execute this line of code yet. But once I go forward to the next step, then you can see the result. So we have our array.
Mm,
So you could kind of, with more complicated functions, you could, if it's not working the way that you think it should be working, then you just step through it one step at a time to
yeah.
figure out where the problem is.
I think I've seen that or I've done that in the browser
Yep.
uh, with snippets, but I
Okay.
don't think I've ever done it in VS Code. That's really useful. Uh,
Super
Maybe I'm gonna
useful.
look for a tutorial on that because that's probably gonna help me a lot, especially in interviews. That would be probably impressive.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's a really good tool. All right,
Okay,
so let's
so
move forward to the solution that you talked about, and this is the one that is it's a naive search, but it's still good for this sort of problem since this sort of problem is simple. But like we talked about yesterday, if you're able to demonstrate all three solutions to an employer, that's way better than just showing one. If you show one and
yeah.
then you're like that's it, then they know you can solve it, but it's not like they don't know that you could look at it from different perspectives and solve it with different solutions. So it's cool
Hmm.
that you're able to do multiple solutions for the same problem.
Awesome.
This one I like though. So do you want
Yeah.
to type some pseudocode? You want me to type pseudocode? You want to give it a shot, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I wanna take a look at the problem again because
Okay.
the leak code problem, so I remember exactly how I thought. Yeah, so yeah, I think I remember what it is. Um, I never pseudocode, so I want to practice that.
Okay.
I think it would be good. So, are you keeping this, or are you getting rid of this result, or putting somewhere?
Oh, in two, just keep it in two. We'll move to 3.js.
Okay. So we're gonna create another file.
Yeah, I have one right here. Just go over to 3.js.
Okay, let's see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm still not used to navigating. Okay, cool. So the let's see. I'm gonna try to write the pseudo the pseudocode. So the first thing, create. Wait, are we assuming they are always lowercase?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not gonna do the the, the whole thing. Create a variable to store um sequence string the a string sequence um if sequence matches needle uh return index of first character, else Um, erase the. I would say delete or like not delete, but make it empty again. Like else empty. How do I say this? Like I want to do this. Like sequence. Like
Why are
else.
you creating a variable to store the string sequence?
Because I want to compare it to needle. So let's say uh sad sad but sad, right? Will be
Mm-hmm.
something like this, like the first letter, and then you have sad, which is the needle. Then it does a loop. It saves the first character to the string. It does a loop. It saves the second character string. It does a loop. It saves the sector the last characters to a string, and of course it always checks if it's already the same,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's the same, it returns the the index of the first letter in haystack. Um,
So you want to
but let
you want
mm,
to iterate over haystack and check the characters one by one, or
yeah, I want to iterate over haystack, check the characters one by one, and add it to an empty string, and if the empty string it doesn't match needle, uh like the first character, uh the second character, the third character don't match, you would kind of like reinitialize it. So let's use some other example. Let's say the word
is
is
there a way to do it without creating an extra string with a similar method that we used yesterday with the pointers?
probably
Give it
um
no rush, just think about it.
you think point using pointers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me
Or
think here.
pointers or for loops, which is a little simpler, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially the same concept.
Okay,
So you mentioned
so I
you
already
want to
created, right?
iterate over the haystack, right?
Yeah, so let's do that. Iterate over the haystack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess when I iterate over the haystack, I'm gonna check for something. Um, I'm gonna check for the first character of the haystack, and then the second one, the third one.
And the first character
Um,
of the needle.
yes. But the thing is,
But something different happens if they're matching. One thing happens. If they're not matching, something else happens.
yeah.
Because
But
if
my
they are,
question,
if they go ahead.
yeah, because my question is because this one is perfect because it starts with the word sad.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was something like ASAD, it wouldn't work quite as well.
Yeah.
That's
So
why
since the
I
A
had the
character
idea.
is wrong on the example you just gave, if the A is the first character and the A doesn't match the S from the needle, then you would just skip the A, right?
Okay,
And you'd move to the
I think I know what you mean. So okay, so we're gonna iterate the haystack. If character from haystack is a match, uh, you know, we we continue. Uh, else, um, so if it's a match, we continue. Else, we do something like I minus minus. Oh no, wait. Hmm. Because I remember the thing. So yeah, let me think
let
here.
me pull these out for you
Yeah,
because you could
because
always just play around and just throw some notes and that
yeah.
sort of thing. So you're gonna need one letter to find the position of this needle, and you're gonna need one to find the position of this. So
So
let's just
I and
say
J.
if we're iterating over a haystack with the outside loop, then
Mm,
I would be right here, right? And then we need a J. We need another one to target this one. So if we're like, okay, haystack 0, needle 0, they match, then you want to increment and see if
yeah.
see if they match.
Yeah.
And if they match, then you move them both forward. If they ever come to a point where they don't match, though, like this is a G, then you want this to start back
Yeah.
here, but you want this to just keep going.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to communicate that, but I guess I1 was not, I minus was not it. You have to, because my the thing that I was telling you is that I was going to create a string and then make it empty, but it's this is the same thing without creating extra space, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't. I'm not sure. I really grasp what your solution was. That's why I was asking. Like, why do you want to create the string? I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, it's okay. Um, it's fine. We can skip that and try this solution. So let's say now that I've seen your example, if I can turn it into pseudocode because I don't really do that often. Iterate over haystack. Um, just one thing is it going to be a loop inside a loop?
Yes.
That's kind of bad, isn't it?
O of n squared for a problem this small, I wouldn't consider bad. I would honestly still go with one of the first two solutions because they're so simple and so easy to understand and so short. But this is nice to know too.
Mm, okay. So, okay. So iterate over the haystack,
Mm-hmm.
and then you gotta iterate over the needle. I don't know if the order matters that much.
Yes. The tricky part is going to be more how do you target the characters in the haystack and how do you target the characters in the needle properly. That's going to be the real challenge. But you
Hmm.
have the outside iterate over the haystack. That's correct. Iterate over the needle. That's correct. Now the internal logic is a little trickier, but you'll get it.
Yeah, if the character from haystack is the same as needle, you know, keep going. Else, uh, J should be zero again. J should be reinitialized, aligned to zero. I'm trying not to write actual code. So yeah, but I is always will always keep going, and J is gonna just like reinitialize once it stops matching. But also we need to check because let's say it let's say it's like this, right? Here it should return because otherwise it could go here and then J, which was here, would come back here, which is not what we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to think of a way here. So we the haystack needle. If char from haystack the same as needle, keep going.
How
By keep going,
how do
I
you
mean
know that you've come to the last letter in the needle? How do you know that you've reached the last letter in the needle?
uh I guess I could use the length of the needle.
Yes. How do you use it?
Mm. Okay, so um, holy shit, yeah, I don't know.
Nah, you're onto it. You got this is basically the whole solution. That's like the only part you're missing. It's just
Okay,
figuring out when to return.
yeah. Okay, so if uh I don't know where to put it if though. Maybe it should be like inside here or outside, I don't know. I guess should be inside. If try for me to keep going, I think should be here.
Here, let me break this. I'm gonna do one thing. So if character from the haystack is not equal to character from needle, just break. and start
Oh,
over.
okay.
So
So the opposite
break,
would like.
break, and increment I. So if you break, you're automatically gonna break from this for loop with J, and you're automatically gonna increment I. So let's just go and do this example again.
Oh,
And let
okay.
me go ahead and put this on top, since that's the outside for loop. So we iterate over the haystack. We're starting at 0 element here. We're iterating over the needle. We're starting at 0 here. So I
Yeah.
is initialized as 0. J is initialized as 0 here. If the character from the haystack is not equal to the character from the needle, break. But since we're
Yeah.
inside this internal for loop, we need to
Mm-hmm.
find a way to target um, needle J and haystack I properly. So if on the first iteration, let's just say we're on the first iteration.
Yeah.
If haystack I is equal to needle J,
Oh, no, J. Okay.
then we just continue, right? We continue, we increment J. Now the thing is, I's not going to increment. We're inside the J for loop. So J is going to increment, but I is still on the S. So we need to find a way to use J in a way that on the next iteration of the internal for loop, the J for loop, that we're actually targeting this. So think about this. If character from haystack, because we're gonna have to target that character from the haystack
Yeah.
using J and I in a way that properly targets it. This is the tricky part. And then is not equal to the character from needle. The character from needle, we're just gonna do needle J. That's simple. Needle J. Because then we keep going. So let's say on the next iteration, the first one was equal. S equals S. Now J increments to A. So
Yeah.
and we're still checking this A against this A, right? Because we're on the second character. So
Well, but we're in the second character of J, not of I.
yeah, but we're gonna find a way to target the second character of haystack without moving I, with just moving J.
Okay.
But so we're gonna compare these two, right? So these two, if they're not equal, break, but they are equal. So continue to increment J. So now J equals 2. And like I said, we're going to find a way to target the third character at the same time, even though I is still 0. You're going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be an aha moment for you. But
Yeah.
now we see this has been the same, this has been the same, and this has been the same. And now we're on the last character of the needle.
Okay.
So we know we just found the copy, right? They all
Yeah.
matched. We didn't break.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are we checking? So right here, what are we checking,
I would
and what
say
are we returning?
from the top of my mind will be something like, because we have the length of the needle, which is 3,
Mm-hmm.
and also the index of the letter D, which is 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say something like, if the length of needle equals the current index of J plus 1, then we return or something like that.
Go ahead, type it out.
Oh shit, really? Okay, that makes me nervous. The pseudocode, you mean?
Yeah, type out the pseudocode. That's cool.
Okay. If uh needles length equals uh J plus 1, return that's a match. Return um index of I think, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay, that's not bad.
it's a little off. So instead of
Oh, come on.
so close though. But yeah, so instead of if the needle's length equals j plus 1, I mean, I guess you could do that, but I would say
Okay.
if j equals needle dot length minus 1, because
If
the length
if
of
J,
the length of the needle is 3, so needle
yeah.
minus 1 is 2. So when j hits the value of 2, if j ever reaches the length of the needle minus 1, then we know we got to the end of the needle.
So if needle's length minus one equals J.
Yep.
Hmm.
If j equals,
Okay. There's a distinction there for sure, but I'm not sure I get the difference.
so if the only difference is you are looking for the value of j. So when we write this for loop, we're gonna iterate this for loop until while j is less than needle's length, right?
Hmm.
So just to be consistent, I like to keep
Okay.
j the same.
Yeah, I just wanted to know like if there's like if it the my alternative completely breaks things, or
Logically, it makes
just more,
sense.
or it's just more
Logic,
elegant.
yeah, logically it makes sense.
But yours is more elegant. Is that you're saying?
Um, for me personally, it's just easier to understand with the rest of the code. But
Yeah, because
either or will work, I believe. Yeah, we could try them
yeah,
both out.
I get it. Because like it's easier to track J because this is the one changing. Length plus minus one is always going to be the same number.
It's gonna be
Okay,
two.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay, now it's funny that the naive approach, which is like the worst of all of them, is the hardest. That's kind of funny.
I know, right?
Okay, so
Yeah, I would actually start with this one. Like if I was in an interview, I would start with this one, just because it really is brute force and inefficient as it. I mean, you could get less efficient, but for O of n squared, that's like the least efficient you want to get. You don't even want to code something that's like O of n cubed. If you do anything worse than O of n squared, it's like it's not good. But since this is O of n
yeah.
squared, for a small problem, O of n squared is okay. But I would start with this one and then I'd be like, I need to find a way to make this simpler. I need to find a way to
Hmm.
do this in a more readable way that's going to be able to communicate more effectively to the other engineers. Like they see that you're thinking about writing code in a way that other
Hmm.
engineers,
I don't
you
know if
know,
I
like
should be worried because that's the first approach that came to mind. Uh, but yeah. The problem is, let's say I do this, and then they say, "Okay, Daniel, this is the time we have." Then I'm screwed. But I totally get
I
it.
would ask. I'd be like, hey, I know I could do this a little bit better. Can you give me just 5 minutes really quickly, and I could think through this and write some better code? I don't want to leave.
Okay,
I don't want to leave this code like this. And I know there's a simple way that if another engineer reads my code, I want them to find good code. Can you just give me like two or
okay,
ask for it? Because that just shows that like you don't want to leave the code like this. You're thinking about other
yeah,
developers. You know, like that's huge. That's
yeah.
huge. Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
you
I
could
think I
ask.
would mention like, okay, I'm gonna start. I have more than one solution. I'm gonna start with the worst one. Then we can see the evolution of it. Okay, so do you think we got the whole thing?
Yeah, this looks pretty good. The only thing is if we break over and over and we never find the needle in the
Then
haystack,
we
then we
okay,
want to return -1
okay.
after
Mm-hmm.
yep, after everything.
Like that's after all, like both loops, right?
Yeah.
So okay, return minus one after both loops.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna save here.
Yeah, do your thing.
And now you do it. Just kidding.
Yeah, I'll do
So okay,
it.
no, I want to try. Because the thing is, if you let like if you allow it, you're just gonna always use people as a crutch. Like, hey, do it for me. Then I'll learn. Like, no, you have to do it. You have to get your hands dirty.
I know. I agree.
So we're gonna start. I don't know if let's see here, because we're already over haystack. Then that's an I. Okay.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter really which one. you call it, but I don't know if there's a specific like you always put J before I or I before J, but I usually see J before I. I don't know if that's the case for you.
Uh,
Um,
I always use I first, but yeah, I always see I first too.
okay, for let's see here. J needle length, not I J. Okay, sorry. So
Perfect.
okay, so we have a loop inside a loop.
Here, let me go ahead and post the code
Yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly. I was going to do that, but thank you.
Yeah.
Needle. So inside needle, we check if character. Okay.
Oh, do your thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still messing around.
Nah, just organizing.
So okay, no, it did well. Thank you. It helps a lot. So if character from haystack, and I assume character from haystack would be so if haystack I is not equal to character from needle, which I assume would be needle J, then break. That it's a one liner, so we don't really need to do anything here.
Yep.
Um, what are we checking? What are we returning? We don't need this line, do we? Because we already this
Oh,
is
I was just asking a question. You could delete that.
okay. Yeah.
There
So
you go.
okay. So if needles length. So if needles length minus one equals J. Um, return uh, index of I. Okay. Index of I. Yeah, I mean it's not index. Is it index of I or I itself? You think here
What do you think?
index of I. So I think it's something like this. Um,
What do you want to return on this one?
uh,
When J reaches this D, what do you want to return?
when J reaches this D, I want to return I. Like
Yep.
I's one is the first one, right?
Yeah.
It hasn't moved.
Yeah. I is
Okay.
0. That's the index. So yep.
Yeah, because for some reason when I see index of, I think of the method index of. Okay, so that's a good one. Okay, so we have loop, and if not nothing here to return, I guess, because it just so return minus one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that will be kind of it.
All right.
Hopefully,
Let's test it out.
let me take a look at the Discord.
-1
Hmm,
and -1. So
that's
what
incorrect.
is going on here?
Let's take a look. Let me check. The second one should be -1, so that's okay. So the first one is not. Um, let me think. So iterate over the haystack. We're doing that. Iterate over the needle. We're also doing that. We're if character, that's a character. From haystack, that's haystack, is not equal to character from needle. That's not equal character from needle break. So that's correct, I guess.
So
If needles,
let's say
mm,
we just entered into the first for loop, right?
okay,
So I is 0, J is 0. They do match. So
yeah,
we go to the next line. J is equal to 1. Needle dot length is 2. So this is not equal. So we just increment j by 1. So now we
Mm,
do this again, but now j equals 1. So if haystack I, which I is still 0, right?
yeah.
But j is 1. So if we're comparing needle 1 to haystack 0, that's incorrect. We need
So
to
we need
find a
to
way to
increment I.
target. Yeah, how do we target haystack 1 instead of haystack 0?
Do we need to increment I inside the for loop of j?
We don't want to do that because let's just say we increment I inside the for loop of j to 1. Then when we exit this for loop for the
Kind of skip it.
let's just say this was the e and we do exit the for loop. Now we're coming back to I that's 1, so we skip right to the next
Yeah,
one
yeah.
and we miss the next character and we want to start from the next character. So we need I to stay 0 out here
Yeah.
in case this doesn't work. Like let's just say this was E and we ended up going to the second sad. Now in the second one, I is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I is going to be 6. J is going to be 0 because J is going to be starting here. I is going to be 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
here it's going to be haystack I is not equal to needle 0. So that's right. They're matching, right? But then you go and you increment J again. So you move J to 1 and I is still on 6, right?
Yeah.
So how do you target that I? How do you target the next character as J moves along? How do you get how do you target that character in haystack that we're trying to target?
I'm not. I don't know.
All right. So basically, you just do this. I plus J. So
Okay.
in the first
But
example, if
mm,
we're on 0 and 0, J is 0, I is 0,
yeah.
and then they are equal, so we don't break. We check. J equals 0, length equals 2. Nope, we haven't reached the D yet, so we increment J to 1. Now we increment J to 1, and I is still 0,
0. So it's
but
gonna be
I
1, 1.
plus 1 is 1.
Yes.
And
I
same thing
see.
here. If J is 1 and I is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, so it's going to target the next one. So haystack I plus J is going to ensure that we're targeting the correct character of the haystack.
Mm, yeah, that's tricky. That's a bit tricky.
Yeah, it's a little. It makes sense though, right?
Yeah, it does because like I said, like we have this for loop, so we start from 0,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get inside this other for loop, which is gonna run like the whole needle before it goes back here in increments. But since you're comparing to it, you want to check haystack, and the only way to do it before, because this is always going to be 0 for the first run, is to keep track of J together with it. So
Yep.
they're always the same number
Yep.
inside.
Yeah.
And then once I is 1, it's gonna be like 1 plus 0 is different from 0. And then it's like it kind of it moves. Let's say it kind of moves the window from left to right, like from this it goes like this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. I'm not sure if it makes sense my explanation, but
No, it does. Let's see if it
can we
works.
see? Okay,
So we're getting
okay, good.
0 and 1. That's working correctly. The only change I would make is in this right here. So right now we're going from while I is less than haystack dot length, but we know needle's length. So we know if we get to this A right here that there's no possible way because there's only 2 characters left, so we know that a needle with 3 characters It's just it doesn't matter. You know, let's just say we have in this case a needle with 5 characters and we're at the third to last. The needle is 5 characters, but if there's only 3 characters left, there's no possible way that we're gonna be able to find the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
We need
So
five
so
characters. So
so
you
basically, you're going to iterate. I okay. I thought it was going to be something else.
just that.
I thought you were going to do something like uh, I equals I plus 3 or something like that. For some reason, I thought you were going to be like checking 3 by 3.
Nope. Just because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 characters. So if we subtract needle length, so 3 from 9, we get 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As long
Yeah.
as I is less than 6, we're good. But once we hit 7,
Yeah.
we know that we're past the point of finding
Okay,
the
I
needle.
I understand. So what you're basically telling me is that because needle has a length that we know, in this example is 3, right? Once you have less than 3 remaining characters, there's no need to keep looping, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Let's just say
Yeah,
we have a haystack that's 10,000 characters and a needle
yeah,
that's 5,000 characters. Once we pass that 5,000th character in the haystack and we're at like 5,050, there's no possible way we could find the haystack. So to actually go through the other 5,000
yeah,
characters one by
yeah.
one, it just doesn't make sense. With something small like
Hmm.
this, it's like, who cares? It's only one character, but
Yeah, yeah, I get it. But you want to give the extra spice there to impress
exactly,
people.
exactly, exactly.